Let's be honest, most royal books are either too polite or too recycled to really shake anything. But Andrew Lai's latest release, this one, landed like a brick through a palace window. The timing couldn't have been better or worse, depending on which side of the gates you're on. The Epstein files had just crept back into the headlines. The summer news cycle was dry, and Prince Harry had just threatened to sue Lai over a rather hunch. And boom, Andrew's book hit #1 in the UK and America, with New York Post running 5 separate articles on it in under a week. But this isn't just about juicy royal drama. This is about someone finally putting in print what everyone else has whispered for years but never dared write down. See, Andrew Lai isn't just another loud opinion. He's a scholar, Cambridge-educated, Edinburgh-polished, and a fellow of the Royal Historical Society. The man's not playing tabloid games. He's slicing through royal PR fluff with surgical precision. And that's exactly why his book is setting Buckingham on fire. One of the most disturbing points he raises, Fergie. That's right. Sarah Ferguson, Duchess of York. While Prince Andrew's name has long been dragged through the dirt, and honestly, deservedly so, Fergie's managed to slip by under the radar until now. Lai makes a compelling case that she's actually the more dangerous figure.
Why?
Because she's a master of reinvention. She sins, she goes on Oprah, she cries, she gets forgiven, and then she just does it all over again. She's been milking her connection to the royal family like it's an ATM. Lai points out that her companies have all the makings of smoke and mirrors. No real transactions, no solid audits, just the illusion of business. And while she publicly claimed to have cut ties with Epstein in 2010, witnesses say they saw her at his properties well into 2015. You can't spin that. That's not optics. That's deception. Meanwhile, her financial ties to Epstein bigger than she's ever admitted. And yet, she keeps creeping back into the royal fold. Public appearances, holiday walkabouts. She's not being sidelined. She's being welcomed back. And that raises an uncomfortable question. Why is the royal family keeping her so close? According to Lai, it's fear. Pure fear. They're terrified of what she might reveal if she ever truly turned rogue. And then there's Prince Andrew, the man who, according to Lai, is less evil mastermind and more clueless elite. Not smart, just entitled with all the power and none of the accountability. The kind of man who uses royal trade missions as business opportunities for himself, not for the country. The kind of man who needs staff to activate for him, because apparently his only job is to play. Lai drops bomb after bomb, like it's nothing. One particularly wild claim that Prince Philip, Andrew's father, allegedly had an affair with Fergie's mother. That's the very first sentence in the book. The kind of story royal commentators either pretend not to know or straight up deny, mostly because they didn't get it first. And protecting their palace access matters more than the truth. And then there's Harry. Why did he threaten to sue Lai? Not over some deep allegation. No, it was a story claiming he punched Andrew in the face. Not exactly career-ending, but that's the thing. Harry's protective, especially when his wife's image is at stake. Even an empty legal threat is enough to cause a stir. And it only boosted the book's visibility. Fergie isn't just a footnote in the royal chaos. She's one of its main architects, according to Andrew Lai. Her behavior isn't careless, it's calculated. Every public move, every fake retreat from the spotlight, every apology tour is a setup for the next act. And the palace, rather than shutting the door, keeps inviting her back in. It's not just poor judgment, it's protection. They're scared of her. What does she know? Who does she know? And more importantly, what has she seen? She didn't just have connections to Epstein. She was living it up on the Lolita Express, staying in his homes, taking money from him, and not just a couple grand for some bogus charity event. According to Lai, she accepted more money than she publicly admitted. That alone should have been enough to exile her permanently. But instead, she pops up next to senior royals on Christmas walks like it's all water under the bridge. Lai also raises alarms about her financial dealings. A string of companies with no real paper trails, suspicious audits, and no real explanation for how she stays afloat, unless you count access to Andrew as her business model. One of the more damning points, her whole reputation hinges on still being in the royal family. It's her golden ticket. If she ever got fully booted out, her value drops to zero. That's why she clings to Andrew. That's why she's never far behind when he's in public. And Andrew, he's not some master manipulator. If anything, he's easily manipulated. Lai paints him as a man who never had to think too hard or earn anything. Raised with luxury, surrounded by yes men, and shielded from consequences his entire life. He doesn't scheme, he enables. He lets people around him pull strings in his name. And in return, he gets to keep living like royalty. He doesn't care if it's ethical or illegal. He just wants to be comfortable. Then there's the part no one wants to talk about, the alleged eraser of evidence. Lai says he knows of computers that have had information about Andrew wiped clean intentionally. That's not just a PR cover-up. That's institutional damage control. The kind of thing that happens when the truth is too dangerous to exist. But even with all of this swirling around them, the palace stays quiet. The Queen Lai believes she knew everything. Entertaining dictators, helping Andrew pursue trade missions that were often about his own pocket, not the nation. She wasn't blind. She was complicit. Charles isn't doing much either. And Lai has a theory. It's all about balance. They don't want to go after Andrew or Fergie too hard because they're terrified of what might come out. The royals aren't protecting their image anymore. They're protecting secrets. If one domino falls, they don't know how many go with it. Even Harry and Meghan, for all their drama, seem to benefit from this stalemate. Lai believes they know things too. Maybe not enough to take down the monarchy, but enough to cause serious damage. That could be why the firm never fully cuts them off. There's a silent threat hanging in the air. You exile us, we talk. It's a chess game. Everyone's holding on to their pieces. Some out of fear, some out of power, some because they're still calculating the next move. And no one knows who's going to make the first real play. William isn't playing the same game. According to Andrew Lai, he sees the rot clearly. The drama, the backdoor deals, the abusive status. It's not just a PR mess to him. It's personal. He's not trying to cover for Andrew or extend olive branches to Fergie. He wants them gone. And it's not out of revenge. It's preservation. He knows the monarchy won't survive the next few decades if it keeps dragging this baggage into every news cycle. Lai suggests that William views Andrew and Sarah as ticking time bombs, unpredictable, selfish, and damaging to everything the crown is supposed to represent. He and Kate have worked hard to present themselves as the clean-cut future, the safe option, the professional face of the firm. And every time Andrew or Harry makes a headline, that image gets smudged. It's no wonder William doesn't want them anywhere near the throne or his kid. But Charles, he's still stuck in the middle. Always too little too late. Lai thinks Charles is more worried about legacy than leadership. He doesn't want to be the king who dismantled the family. He wants harmony, image management, quiet retirements. But that doesn't work when you're sitting on two powder kegs. So instead of action, he opts for half measures. He brings Fergie back into the fold, hoping it'll silence her. He ignores Andrew's issues, hoping they'll fade. It's not leadership, it's avoidance. And then there's the public. People aren't blind anymore. They see the double standards. Harry and Meghan get dragged for wearing the wrong color, while Andrew allegedly takes bribes under the table and still gets Christmas invites. The outrage isn't just from Republicans anymore. Even hardcore monarchists are asking the same question. What are we protecting here? One of the most haunting points Lai raises is how many people are too scared to speak. Staff, former insiders, even well-connected journalists. They've seen things, heard things. Some have spoken to him off the record or anonymously. Some have lost jobs for it. Others have lost friends. Lai doesn't name names, but the implication is clear. There's a quiet army of witnesses out there. And if even a handful decided to go public, the monarchy's image would shatter. He also points out how easy it's been to silence those stories. Threats, legal action, employment pressure. Some people live in royal housing, some rely on royal contracts. If they talk, they risk everything. And that's the scariest part. It means the truth is buried not because it's false, but because it's too real, too dangerous. There's no excuse for how these files have been handled either. Lai makes it plain. Files that should be public are sealed. Records that should be archived have mysteriously disappeared. Parliament doesn't seem interested. The media, for the most part, tiptoes around anything involving real accountability. It's all stage-managed. The monarchy was supposed to be about service, duty, stability. But what lies revealed is something far uglier. A system where certain royals operate with zero oversight and the rest of the institution bends itself to keep their secrets safe. And the longer it drags on, the worse it gets. People like Andrew shouldn't be protected because they're royal. They should be held accountable because they are. Fergie shouldn't be welcomed back in because she knows too much. She should be investigated because of it. Lai doesn't claim to have all the answers, but he's not afraid to ask the questions that